In this video, I'm going to demonstrate to the Ubuntu and the Ubuntu derivative users how that they can upgrade or migrate from the old .list to the new .sources on their PPAs when they're trying to upgrade or update their packages, so they won't see these warning messages about saying skipping acquired configured file main/binary-i386, which is the 32-bit of the software, and missing signed by in the source.list. If you see here, that .list is the old format, and the newer version now uses the .sources. So let me read this description, but before I do, let me open up my terminal. And I'm going to enter the command sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade space -y, and I'm going to press the enter key, and I'm going to put my password in. And while this is going and checking and updating my repositories and see if there's any packages that are available to upgrade, I want to show you that these messages are no longer on my system. Now, let me read this while it's doing that in the background. In this section, I'll explain how to switch from the one-line style format, a file ending in the .list in Ubuntu, to the Deb822-Style Format, which a file ending in .sources. Since Ubuntu 23.10, the Deb822.Sources file is now used instead of the previous .list file for third-party repositories. The new source file is it also includes the sign by section specifying the key file, and that's so the key file is to make sure you're getting it from the legitimate source. If the key file doesn't match up, it will not update it on your system. And see, with the .source list, it's not in the same location as the .sources, so it generates that error message or warning messages, so it won't upgrade. As long as these warning messages are here, it's not going to update it. So that way, if it's not have the correct key file, it's not going to install it on your system. So it's actually increasing the security of your system. Now, the one-liner did have a key file on there, but this no longer in the one-line file, and I'll talk about that more in a little bit. But for example, if you have the older version of Microsoft Edge, and if you look here, this is coming from Microsoft.com, and it's -edge. So that top line was generated from Microsoft Edge. It saw that it didn't know if I was trying to download a 32-bit or 64-bit, but there's no longer a 32-bit, so it generated that warning message. Here, this is coming from Microsoft as well, and this is the Visual Studio Code, and it generated the same thing. The third one is from Vivaldi browser. It generated the same error message, warning message, and same thing here. It didn't have the key file in the correct location or the correct format, so it generated these messages, and it didn't upgrade any of those three. So I will show you how to delete the Microsoft_Edge.list and replace it with the Microsoft_Edge.sources. I'll show you how to create that file, and also if you have older versions of the Vivaldi, I will show you as well. So I have the examples down here for the Microsoft Edge Vivaldi. I don't have Visual Studio Code here, but eventually I will add it. I did fix it, but I didn't add it here. I just include in browsers for now. So if you've got some of these browsers and they're generating this messages here or any other software, you can follow the same steps and it will fix it on your system, because it's not really an error. It's just changing formats. Some of these software developers will actually fix them in future software where you don't do anything. You just upgrade it as you normally would, and it will make the changes in the background. Here it says, as you can see in my screenshot above, the two warning messages skipping acquired configuration file main.binary-i386 packages, and also missing signed by, it's fixed by this new .sources by these last two lines. As you can see here, this is .sources. It actually follows a easy to read format. It tells you the type the Ubuntu users are downloading, along with Debian users, is the .deb file. It will show you from the URL where the upgrade is coming from. It shows you that I'm using a stable version, not the development version or the nightly version. My components is the main components. And the last two is what generates these two. The architectures is I'm using AMD 64, which means that's a 64-bit package of the software. Since this wasn't in the original file, the file wasn't there to look at, it didn't know if I was trying to get a 386 or 32-bit or 64-bit, so it generated that warning message. And also, it now needs this signed by, and you need to download a key from the software developer, and make sure you have the correct location of the key and where that key is at, so that when you go to get the software upgrade of that particular package, it will look and tell what architect you're trying to install, and it will look and confirm that your key is matching their key, so that we'll get it from the original source and it will download it and install it on your system. So if you've found this video on YouTube, I will provide a link to this on my website, so that I will be adding additional software packages to my list as I come in contact, or if I see them, I will add it to the list. So let's take a look here. As you can see here, I don't have any warning messages, and I don't actually have any updates. So let's take a look at the Microsoft Edge, because that was one of them that generated a warning message on my system. I'm not going to read everything here, but as you can see here, one of the ways that you can remove that message is by doing method 1. By clicking here and going to the download link, you can click download Microsoft Edge, click I accept, and then you can click the close button. When it's finished downloading the Deb file, you can right click somewhere in the open area and choose open in terminal. What you do is, wherever that location was at, which happened to be in my downloads folder, it then allows me to copy and paste this. Now, you can copy and paste the whole name of the file, but I didn't want to, because in the future it's going to be a different version than 130.0.2849. So if you copy this, as long as they keep their same format as Microsoft-Edge-Stable, then whatever numbers they add there, that asterisk is a wildcard. That just replaces all the numbers between stable and the .deb file. So if you copy that, paste it into your terminal, press the enter return key, what it will do is it will install the newest version on your system. But first, I did fail to mention, you need to come down to where you're going to remove the old source Microsoft Edge asterisk, and that's going to remove the list file. Now, if you have a source file, it will remove it as well, because these are the asterisk, but it will get rid of the Microsoft Edge in your source list D. And also, you're going to remove the key rings that I have here. So you're going to basically do the first 4 steps. You're going to open your terminal, remove the old files from your system, and when you do this step here, when you install it, it should replace the old PPA with the new PPA and the key ring. If for some reason it didn't, you can go to software and updates, and if you see this right here, then you can open up your updater or your terminals to see if you can update them. And if for some reason it didn't work, then go to step number 2. This is installing it via the terminal. Even though I installed it via the terminal before, this is actually making sure that you're getting the actual key. When you go and use this command here, you're saying going out, get this key, and putting it in this particular location. The user share keyring the Microsoft.gpg. That supports placing it on your system. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to open up your text editor, and in my case I'm using gedit. You can replace it with your favorite text editor. So if I open up the terminal again, put this in my terminal. Now yours is probably going to be empty if you've never created the .source file. Here is mine is not empty because I've already put this into it and saved it. When I did, it saved it in the location of Etsy apt source.list.d, and let me go to that location. I'll go to Etsy, which is here, apt, and then I'm going to go to the source list D, and I'm not going to double click and open it because I won't be able to make any changes. But if I right click on it and say open as administrator, put my administrator password in, then when I click the enter return key, it opened this folder as a super user, meaning I can delete or alter these files here. I don't like that look. I'm going to go to list view. Now there's a lot in here, so when I saved them, these are where I can go back and make, like, that's a .list. All are really my .list. I could come in there and purge them by selecting onto them and deleting them, but for right now I'm not. I'm just going to go through and show you the ones that I made changes to. So if I go down to Microsoft, there's the Microsoft Edge, and I'm not going to right click and open it because I've already got it open here. As you can see here, Etsy apt source list D, and then the file is Microsoft_Edge.sources. This is the new format now. Now as you can see here, I do have some lists that are still in here that's not affecting it. I think all of the list ones now just has the saved, or for the district upgrade, I can come in here and go and delete all of those and it will clean them out. But for now, they're not affecting my system. Here, as you can see here, I want to make sure I have the type, which is the Deb, and let me go back to the website. As you can see here, I want to make sure it says type Deb. The package, that's where it's getting the software from, packages.microsoft.com/repos edge, so that when I check for it, it will download the new package from here. The type it will download is I'm using the stable version. The components is a main component. The architect, this is for when you saw those messages here. These messages comes from that particular lines here and here. So when you add the architectures :space AMD64 and the signed by line, and here's the key that's that I showed you how to install on your system, which is here. When you going up and putting the key ring, that's taking the package from Microsoft and putting it at this location, so that by adding this to it, saving that, then you can go sudo apt install Microsoft Edge stable if you've removed it. If not, you can go sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade, and it will upgrade the Microsoft Edge on your system if you've had those warning messages. You have to get rid of these warning messages for it to properly update and upgrade it, because it don't know if you're trying to install the 32-bit or 64-bit, and it don't know if it's properly signed, so it will skip that version until you fix this on your system. Now it may, if you keep trying in the future, Microsoft and Google Chrome along with these other packages eventually may fix them themselves. But when I ran into these problems here, I just started fixing them, and then I started fixing them on my web page, and I thought, well, I've got enough now to where I can make a video on how to fix it yourself. It's not very difficult. It's very easy. As long as you're using this format here, you're using the same format for any of the software packages that generate these messages on your in your terminal, if you're updating and upgrading via the terminal, or if you're using the updater, if it generates a little warning messages as well that it can't upgrade or update it, then you just simply need to replace the .list file with the .source file. And if you don't understand what I just talked about within this video, I do have some additional links down below that will give you a better explanation than what I did here on the video. And I'm not going to go through here and read all of this. It explains the source list D, the one style format, which is the old .list, and it gives some disadvantage of using the old format. And then it talks about the new format, and it goes through and explains line by line. So this is a great resource for if you're trying to understand the new format. Here's some additional links as well that you can click onto, and this is talking about Ubuntu. You know, the Debian operating system has already adopted this. So in Ubuntu 23.10 and then 24.04, that they're using this by default. So the .list are phasing out, the .sources are the new. So this gives you information on why they're doing that, and it helps you understand why they're doing that. And then this says moving from a single line source to the Deb822 source, and this is a Debian Reddit website. So Debian was the first to do it, and then Ubuntu followed soon after. Here it says, where is the documentation? And there's people down below that has already encountered this and answered a lot of questions. That has some great resources. And then here is some better information about the source list that has some information below that you might want to take a look at as well. And then I do have the man page from Debian on the source.list that gives a description, comparing the one-line format with the new Deb822-Style Format to help you understand that as well. And then finally below, the Noble Numbat, which is the newest version of the long-term support of Ubuntu. It has some great information, and the two lines that I saw from that, I screenshotted them and put them here, so if you don't want to click that, you can take a look at this. So if you're using on any of the Ubuntu or the Ubuntu derivatives, and you notice that it says skipping the acquired configuration file because of the binary i386, which is the 32-bit version, and missing the sign by getting rid of the .list and replacing them with the new sources, and making sure that you have the architect AMD64 and the sign by with the correct location of your key file, then and you save that, then you should not see these anymore when you go to update your system. Now, some of the Ubuntu users, when they started seeing this, probably just went through and then uninstalled the PPA on their system, removed the PPA version of the Deb package, and they probably installed Flatpak, Snap, or app images, and that's a way to fix this problem as well. But if you like to install Deb packages because they integrate well with your system and they operate faster, then this is a way that you can continue using the Deb versions of it. But like I said, you can switch to Flatpak, the snaps, and the app images, and that will get rid of these messages as well, as long as you've removed the PPA from your system and uninstalled the actual Deb files program from your system to install the Flatpak, so you're not trying to use both at the same time. Hopefully this video has helped someone, and have a great day.